Indiana Jones, Indiana It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute, the podcast in which we get to the heart of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom 1 minute at a time. I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm Pete Mummert.
I'm Jerry Porter.
And I'm Crystal Beth.
Welcome back, Crystal Beth.
Thank you for having me.
It's good to see you again.
Yeah, I was really worried when you wouldn't let me in. And I was like, maybe they don't actually want me, but it was just a trick.
It was just a big miscommunication. We're so sorry.
I forgive you.
But you're here, and you're going to help us out with minute 23 of Temple of Doom, which begins with Willie saying that she's not hungry, and it ends with the shaman saying that there is a new Maharajah at Pankot Palace.
So Indy in this minute reminds me a lot of my mom when I was a kid. Because
your mom's awesome.
Yeah. Well, like I can remember so many times like going to somebody's house and I would start to say like embarrassing things, or I would say like stuff I shouldn't have been talking about. And she would do this exact thing where Indy does, where she kind of smiles and looks polite, but her eyes are just like filled with this cold anger.
Oh my God.
Like, you know you're dead. You know, like, and he's doing this to Willie the whole time.
Yeah, we kind of preemptively got it out last minute, but yeah, the you're insulting them and embarrassing me line is here, and that's, yeah, his eyes are shining with pleasant hatred.
I don't know what it says about me when I just think he looks so good in this minute.
You're not wrong. He looks really good in this minute.
Oh,
he's like
I just want him to scold me. I want to not eat and have him tell me to eat. And I'd be like, okay.
He looks about as good as he does on Sala's deck in Raiders.
Yeah.
He's all windblown and hatless and devil-may-care.
I have a theory about that. I think it's the part.
I was noticing the part this time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
when you see his hair parted like that.
It's like he cares, and you think that he can care about you too and love you forever. Yeah, I get it.
Maybe he'll love me like he loves his hair.
Well, he combed it too. Like he looks like he just combed it a minute ago.
Yeah, when did he do that, by the way?
Yeah. Maybe that's what's in the bag is the comb.
Yeah, that's his stuff.
Like comb and some Brillo cream and
Yeah.
See, I think that could be a sign that he is a true prophet. I mean, he just fell 3,000 feet from the sky, and his hair is perfect.
Yeah. That works. Or he's a Hollywood actor.
Right.
Yeah, well, yeah. Speaking of Hollywood actor, like Harrison Ford is fantastic in this scene and in this movie as just acting. These lines, I mean, he pulls them off, and I feel like I've been chastised.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
When he said, you're embarrassing me, or, you're insulting them, and you're embarrassing me, I'm like, oh my God, what did I do?
Yeah, he's good at it.
I'm sorry, Mr. Jones.
Yeah.
I love, we mentioned Shorty just hanging out behind Indy there. And, we got the shot of him saying, bad news is coming. And then he's repeating it again as they cut to like the wider shot with Indy in it. And Indy starts to speak to the shaman, and Shorty is still sort of like repeating his line again about bad news is coming. And this is maybe the most authentic kid move I've ever seen in a movie. Of like a kid just sort of like, he seems very natural. He seems like he's not acting right now. He's like, bad news is coming. And just like, like you can feel Indy sort of like just rising his hackles just a little bit. Just like, okay, I'm talking. Just a minute. Like as a dad, I'm like, oh my God, that is like something that happens every single day in life. That's incredible that I'm seeing this in a movie from like a kid actor. It totally works for me.
I couldn't remember why the hell he said that line.
Shorty's sort of a bummer in some ways, isn't he? Like he kind of
I mean, what does that portend? I mean, is it more banana leaves, but they're wilted?
No, he's just getting a vibe off of like, oh, they're sitting us down in this room with these two, imposing, creepy guys, and they're not going to be like, so how was your trip? Oh yeah, we'll get you an elephant, take you to Delhi, everything's going to be good.
No, Shorty's really good at reading a room. Like
Yeah,
throughout this
he
movie.
is.
Right?
He is.
Like he knows exactly what's going to happen every time.
He knows when there's no time for love. He knows when you have to hold on to your potatoes.
Right? And he's been following Indy around for long enough that he knows that when people sit you down, it's not always the best thing.
Right.
So he's literally just saying that out loud with no filter. Like, bad news is coming.
Yeah,
That's it.
again,
Yeah.
a very authentic kid move.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I forget the next minute or two. Like, does bad news walk through the entryway or something?
No, bad news is the name of the shaman.
Yeah. Get a load of bad news.
Well, I got a question. Well, first of all, it needs to be pointed out. Was that a Ben Burt minute when, Willie actually puts the food in her mouth and it goes,
Yeah.
That's the worst
Yeah.
way to do it, because then you have food not only, so you just, you know what you do? You gotta do little bits and swallow it as fast as you can. If you have a bunch of food in your hand like that, it's gonna get in your nails, it's gonna get between your fingers, you're gonna have to lick off each of your individual dirty fingers.
And she sticks her entire hand in her mouth. Yeah.
Ugh,
Yeah.
she's so
Well, I
dumb.
kind of admire that. She really goes
Yeah.
for it. Like,
Yeah,
after
she
being
was-
chastised, she's like, all right.
She was being a jerk.
You asked for it.
well, Indy says, maybe somebody enlighten me here. Indy says, I'm a professor and I have to get back to my university.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, once again, it's fall break at Marshall College. Indy needs to get back for a pop quiz on Michelson's chapters 4 and 5.
Right.
Like, what the hell is going to happen to Shorty?
See, I think
Oh.
Indy's just playing the university card, like, to have an excuse to get out of there.
That's what I
Maybe, yeah.
And it's like, oh, you know what? I'm a doctor. I gotta go.
And I always expect for anybody in that room to be like, "Oh, a professor! Oh, I'm sorry. We should have gotten out the good banana leaves. I'm
They all
sorry."
stand up and start throwing their arms in the air and walking in circles. They're like, "Oh, a professor! Oh,
Oh, you should have said
guys.
something.
Well, see, you like wear the patches on your elbows. I don't get it though. It's like what, and I mean, what the hell is Willie gonna do? And then I thought, like, is Short Round like some Bobby Fischer type thing? Like, is he gonna go to Marshall College? He's just young. Like, I mean, what's gonna happen? They're all going. He's just trying to get back to the university, and he's just gonna drop them off at the airport, or.
I know we've talked about this a lot, about their relationship and how they met and everything. I know he tells the story later about Shorty, trying to pickpocket him and stuff. But do we know how long ago that was? Like, how long they've been because it could be that, Indy is, here, he was in, Asia on whatever adventure he was having that ended up being the, Nurhachi gambit. Mm-hmm. And then, if he's got Shorty with him that whole time, it might be, yeah, like, on this trip, I found this kid Short Round who, he doesn't have parents, whatever, etc. Maybe he is planning on taking him back to the States with him or something.
No, I was going to say, this is where Pete earns his superpower. I mean, because it was the bombing of...
It was the first Japanese bombing in Shanghai.
Yes.
Which was...
And it's 1935 in the movie, so
Uh-huh.
when was the first Japanese bombing in Shanghai?
It's like 1932, I think.
So there you go. They've
But
been
wait, but
3 years.
That just
Whatever.
means that. But wait, do we know that that's exactly when Indy met him? We just know that he's been parentless that long.
Yeah. So then that means
yeah.
1932. So that's 3 years. Apparently, he's been in Indy's care. But Indy, like, if that's the case, like, I think he has to be in Indy's full-time care. Otherwise, it seems like Indy's thing would be like, well, I got to get this kid back to his parents.
But wait, his parents are dead.
Yeah.
Like, but, I mean, he seems like he would be telling, or I've got to get this kid back to his home, or I've got to, like, you don't just abscond with a kid.
Well, you do if you're that village woman.
Yeah, she's still waiting.
So maybe Indy should have just left. Like, Indy could have just left him here.
Well, yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, hell, he'd probably sell him. I'll tell you what, I'll give you, you took a fancy to that kid, right? Don't you got some car stones around here somewhere?
It could also be that Shorty is just fine being a street urchin and like being a street tough and like just fending for himself. And okay, Dr. Jones, to see you, next time you come through, like maybe he's,
But But he's been taken so far away from, like, Indy. It seems like Indy would have to get him back either to his natural home where he's comfortable, or else he's going to have to provide for him, like, as a parent.
Yeah, and adopt him.
Back at Marshall College.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he is. He's going to, matriculate in Marshall College and be like the Bobby Fischer of archaeologists.
Yeah, he's got
maybe
a little bed in his professor office, and he just
pulls out a drawer in his desk, and there's Shorty sleeping in there.
cuddles up in there.
Yeah. I think Shorty'd love California.
If he ever gets there from Marshall College, maybe. It's on the other side of the country, Pete. Pete!
Now, Tom, you brought up a good point, and I have a question specifically for our guest, Crystal.
Yes,
If I may call you Crystal.
you may.
Why did Willie follow Indy?
From Shanghai?
Yes, just in the movie. Like, we know that she had to escape. She leapt out the window with him because there was a Tommy gun that was spraying indiscriminately. And so we said, okay, she did need to jump out of the window to save her life.
Right.
But what is she doing on this adventure/misadventure?
Well, what I think is, so if she is dating the rich man of Club Obi-Wan, and he says, I can get a new girl, and you get offended by it, and there's this other handsome man who's kind of a bit of an a-hole, but still handsome, takes you out of the club you're in through the window, you crash down, you end up in a car, while your ex-boyfriend's friends are shooting at you. This guy's continuing to yell at you. You get in a plane with him.
Mm-hmm.
You take that plane to the point of crashing. The plane actually crashes, and you have to jump into an inflatable boat, cruise down a mountain, off a cliff, into the water, at which point that genius inflatable raft keeps you alive, when all of a sudden a mystical, maybe supernatural man points you in a weird caca way in the direction to go. I would stay exactly with the person that brought me there because I would be terrified.
Yeah.
There's this person that saved you now 4 times.
Yeah.
And while you can probably at some point, I don't think she's had a chance to get away from him yet. She had to get on the plane to be able to get away from her ex-boyfriend who was trying to kill her. And
see, that's the part that's weird to me. That's we could talk about that all day, and I'll never understand why she gets on the plane.
To him, like she's a object, and I one of my really good friends is an escort, and the way that she explains to me what men feel like when they can buy the love of a woman, it really turns them on in a weird way. And I feel like even though she wasn't bought, I don't believe that she was an escort for that guy, but he did keep her around by buying her things, and she doesn't have anywhere else to go or anything else to do. And it's kind of exciting.
I have a theory, and it goes like this. The things we put up with to get laid.
That's not a theory. That's like a
For this
sentence fragment. I'm on the edge of my seat.
Well, for this relationship, because look, I like everywhere you went with that. That was great, Crystal Beth. But
Thank you.
she does come up to the table immediately, and before any of the stuff goes down with Lao Che, and she says, please introduce me, to this handsome guy. And we've talked about this a little bit, and I don't know. I think that maybe there originally was some sort of backstory, like Willie needs to get home back to Missouri, or she's tired of being a dancer, or she hates Lao Che, her boss, who's always treating her like a piece of meat, and she needs to get the hell out of there. But we don't have any of that background. I literally think she just wants to Indy.
I don't know. When I was starting to, this was starting to make sense to me as Crystal was talking. That she even if you asked her how's things going in Shanghai, she'd be like, "Oh, it's awesome." I'm a singer. It's great. I'm at this club and everything. Maybe she is sort of feeling that kind of like, this guy might think he owns me. And this life that I'm living here sort of has a shelf life. Maybe I'm going to take the easy ticket out of here with this guy who's a jerk. And, he's stabbed me twice already in the side with a fork. But, I'll get it. I'm going to jump on this chance to just sort of get out of here. Like, even if she hasn't fully admitted to herself that she's feeling weird about her life in Shanghai or something.
But see,
that's my fan fiction that I'm going to write.
I don't think she's had a chance to make a choice at all, other than to sit down and meet Indy.
Yeah,
it seems like every choice so far has been made for her.
Listen. We said, and we discussed this. She could have been like, oh, Lao Che, there's Lao Che. Granted, he said fine. I mean, she's worthless to Lao Che, fine. But she could have just, when they get to the airport, I don't know, call your friend and be like, I've had a horrible night. You're not going to believe it. Can you pick me up? I'm at the airport.
Yeah.
Does she have any friends?
Like,
though?
she doesn't. Well, sure. There's the whole. Didn't you see the show? The Anything Goes production?
I saw a bunch of dancers behind her that would probably break her knees for her part. If you're the lead in the show with a bunch of other women, I guarantee you they don't want to be your friend.
Well, she makes it sound, later in the movie, she makes it sound like, oh, I had a great life in Shanghai. I was going to parties and everything and stuff.
Hey, you know what?
So
I talk about my life great a lot. And often I'm like, I am so depressed. Nothing's going the way I want. Everyone hates me. And some people, my mom will be like, how are you? And I'll be like, great. My life's wonderful. Everyone loves me.
But I mean, she's
lie to your own
clearly,
mother.
She's been uncomfortable since since minute, 7 or something.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're, contrasting it. Like, we know why Marion's along for the adventure. Mm-hmm. It's, and we talked about that. And so I was just wondering what you thought. Why is Willie along for this adventure? And that was the only reason I could come up with. It's a discussion point, but then it does beg the question, the second question, which I would ask you, Crystal Beth. So why does Indy invite her along? And I have a theory on this. Indy just wants to Willie.
You know what? I knew that was going to be your theory.
Yeah.
Something
about.
I just had an inkling. Yeah. I think that while, yes, there always is in the back of your mind, you can be married to someone for years and more in love with them than you could ever imagine. And if you're in a room with an attractive person, you're like, well, you know what? If it was just this person and me left in the world, cool. And it's not something you're ever going to move on. And I'm not saying they're dating other people, and this is just an example so that I don't sound like a bad person. I think that you look at a situation like that and you see an attractive woman, even though she is so annoying, you bring her along because, number one, now you feel like you're in charge of her. And I feel like, and I think I talked about this the last time I was a guest, where Marion likes to take care of people. Because I had the scene when she was taking care of Indy on the boat. And she likes to take care of people. It makes her feel good to take care of the person that she had a crush on for all these years. He needs her now. I think it's the opposite relationship with Indy, which might be another reason why we don't like Willie as much. Whereas opposed to Indiana Jones needing Marion at one point, Willie needs Indiana Jones. And I think Indiana Jones is kind of getting off on the idea that right now, she needs him. She would not be able to survive out here on her own at all. And I think that, as well as torturing her while he's doing it, is something that he might actually like.
Yeah, his hatred for her is clearly forced most of the time. He's legitimately annoyed by her, but he it's almost middle school level. Like, I don't like you.
Yeah.
You go stand over there. Don't look at me. But yeah, the movie is trying hard for a kind of screwball comedy, bickering couple, apples and oranges kind of thing, and then by the end of the movie they've fallen in love and stuff, and Sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. But one glad thing, I'm glad that we're talking about this with you, Beth, because when you were on last time, you mentioned A, the Temple of Doom is your favorite movie of Indiana Jones, and B, that you can't stand Willie.
Yes.
So, and especially in this scene, which has got like kind of like those two things bouncing off each other, I feel like we should pick your brain more about that while we've got you here.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, how do you sit through your favorite movie with your least favorite character in it?
So the energy of the energy of Temple of Doom is so good. It's the kind of energy that pulls me into movie, which is one of the reasons why I like Return of the Jedi more than any of the other ones. Well, that's a whole different thing. Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back often switch places for what my number one is. But most of the time, I like to watch Return of the Jedi because the energy of it appeals to me. And I can't pinpoint why. It's just what it is. And that's how Temple of Doom is, where I really enjoy watching every aspect of this movie. And it has some of my favorite movie, like my favorite dialogue ever is when they're... spoiler, we're going to talk about it. When they're in that first trap room when the spikes are coming down. His interaction with Willie through the wall, because I'm so in love with Indiana Jones, I feel his anger double for him. So it makes me so much more frustrated with her. And she never really redeems herself in the whole movie to be someone that's not annoying, because even at the end when he's like kind of being flirty with her, she's like, what, you call this a vacation? This is not what I think we should do here.
Right.
When if they wanted to make her cool, what she would do is have like her hair up in a ponytail, dirt all over her shirt, sitting down with like in a really casual stance with like her legs kind of open while eating a cricket or something.
Having a drinking contest with an Australian in Nepal.
Exactly.
Well, that would have been a transformation or a character arc.
Yes, I would have loved what they call a character arc with her, because I remember in Last Minute I was mentioning that I don't know what the last minutes are, but maybe something will happen where she starts to transform. We all know it's not true. She doesn't. She's the same person. And it's frustrating. It's just, and especially as a female, write women well. Right, because the amount of women, there are women like this, but there are infinitely more that are not like that, and it's maddening. But everything else in the movie is great. I love the chanting. I love all the red. I think that a lot of the blocking is really good for the movie. I love the fights. I love Short Round. I think he's so fun.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll just proffer this. Maybe for the two of them, I mean, they're both single. Maybe this is just life on the road.
Yeah.
You know, they're not thinking. I mean, with Raiders, we have a backstory, and you get the feeling that the characters, even 2/3 of the way in, maybe 1/3 of the way in, the characters are falling back in love.
Yeah.
But this just might be just like, I'm gonna roll with this. Life on the road.
Yeah.
And maybe that's to Willie's credit, actually.
Well, yeah, because in Raiders, everybody planned to go on the road. Like, people had something they wanted to get, and they made a plan to go get it, and everybody was willingly along for the ride. But in this, nobody had a plan to wind up in India. It just, like, their plane crashed, and they didn't have a choice. And so they're like, well, we're here, and they didn't have a choice. Like, they still wanted to go home, and they still didn't have a choice.
Right. And it was all very kind of movie convenience, like why they were even on the same plane and stuff to begin with.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that she sticks to her guns a little bit. Like, she doesn't let him change her. I mean, you might
There's
not like
something
who
to be
she
said
is,
for that.
but I mean,
Yeah,
he's got an arc.
I
so
think that if this person was a real person, it would just mean that they were stubborn. I don't think that it's like, oh, good job, you stayed true to yourself. I'm like, no, yourself is a big piece of turd pile. Become worldly, learn how to appreciate people, and be a nice person. That's the transformation Willie should have had. It sounds like I really hate her, and I do.
Well, I mean, she has a strong and defined sexuality to her.
Yeah.
Does she?
Yes, in other minutes, yes, and you know, even at the beginning, and I mean,
Yeah, we'll see.
yeah, we'll see.
I'll pay
We'll
attention.
see. Yeah, we'll see. It's obviously different than Marion, but it's not absent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a woman that knows
Okay.
what she wants, and she wants to be taken care of by money. Not that
Right,
Indiana Jones
right.
has that, but for future minutes, maybe. I mean, I don't know. What am I even talking about?
Well, so let me ask you: do you think? I mean, we know Willie was with Lao Che, maybe.
Yeah, we don't know that.
So we don't know that. We don't know that, but it's possible.
No.
that
Yeah.
she may have.
He was like, I can get. I think they made it pretty clear that there was something there.
I always thought there was, yeah.
Just
Well, he says I can get another girl, and I mean you could take it two ways. Like
Yeah.
he could be meaning I could get another girl as a dance, like to lead my show, or I could get another girl as a
I
girlfriend.
think it's both.
She was a lot more chummy with him than just the lead singer and dancer in the show would be, I think. I always got the vibe that they were,
Yeah.
you know, he was his,
Mm-hmm.
she was his mall or whatever.
Also, when
Yeah.
she got the diamond, and she was like, "Oh,"
yeah.
it was a very
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Thank you," even though it wasn't for her, which is just the
this
craziest
isn't intended
reaction.
for me.
You didn't
Yeah.
have
Well,
to.
so let me ask you: would she be well suited for Belloc?
No.
No. Well, if nobody has anything else for 23, do we?
I have
anything for
one.
around the 23? Oh,
One thing, the how the woman touches Willie's arms.
yeah.
There was a girl that I went to college with that would touch people with that same like hesitant, just like the I'm touching you, I'm touching you, like that kind of that. Whenever I see those hands doing that, it makes me want to break all of her fingers. It's
Wow.
So it and watching this minute over and over again to get a feel so that I can hold a good conversation with you, gentlemen. Every time I watched it, I was like, I'm a killer. I'm going to cut her hands off, and she's got to go. Because she would do it, and then she would be like, meow, meow.
I'm watching it
She
right
would
now.
like
That's awful.
meow it, and I was like, I cannot
Wow.
do this. But so, it's not really even much of a story that we can talk to off of it, but a very passionate feeling I have about the
Yeah.
eat. I would be like, stop touching me. I'll eat the food. God,
Get your kitten hands off me.
get your paws off me. I'm going to eat your mush. You'll be fine. Just don't touch me again. But yeah, that was the last thing.
There's a really weird. The whole camera shot here is really strange because if you look at the people, like the people in the foreground are kind of wearing colored clothes, but the people in the background are in black and white. And it's a really
Oh, the way
weird,
background?
yeah, like if you look on the left, like in say second 54, like the people on the left of the screen are in black and white, and the people like in the distant background are. It's like a really weird shot. Like it really pulls, like it really layers the shot. It's kind of cool looking.
That might be bad news coming.
That's great.
Well, does anybody have anything else for this minute?
No, I don't. I just had the hand
Okay.
thing.
Yeah. The hands go a long way. And they keep going a long way over and over again.
Oh,
lightly
God,
and
stop touching
insistingly.
me.
Sorry.
I can feel it. I can see it, and I can feel it.
Estude means thank you.
It does. It does.
Yes.
I mean, I'm agreeing with you, but I only just sort of surmise that. I use my context clues.
But as somebody who likes languages or likes to learn languages, I like how lazy Indy gets. Like he says, astute, astudi. And like by the end, he's just like literally just astudi.
That's awesome. Oh, and I do love when he's all confused by what the shaman is saying. He's like, well, first he's like, well, Pankot's not on the way to Delhi, and then he's kind of like shaking his head, and then he's he's saying he sort of like trails off as the shaman starts explaining and stuff, and he's like just totally confused. I really like that kind of. It seems like Harrison Ford sort of, he's having fun acting in the scene. It seems like he's doing some acting stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, this movie messed up my geography for a long time. Like, because as a kid, I always thought they said Bangkok.
Oh,
because it's kind of hard to understand the guy, and I was always like, oh, so I guess Bangkok's in India. So it always really confused me about where things were.
Yeah. I didn't pay nearly that much attention, so it didn't do a thing to my geography. It's still lousy.
Got to check the part out where he pulls out the beating heart.
Yeah, man.
That's what I got in the movie when I saw it in 1984.
Yeah. Rock and roll. Well, Crystal Beth, thank you so much for joining us these past few days. This has been awesome.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. I love hanging out with you guys.
Yeah. Even if it's with Willie.
Yeah. Sometimes it's nice to get mad, though.
It is.
I keep getting all these minutes that I love anytime. I don't know how. I don't know if it's just because I love every minute I get because I love every movie that I'm talking about, but every minute I get is really good. But it was
cool.
Attack of the Clones and this one now are two where I was able to have like a passionate, but like not happy passionate thought.
Yeah. We all get these stretches of movies sometimes. If your franchise goes long enough. And there's only the second movie we did.
Yeah.
How'd that happen all of a sudden? Actually, no, I love this movie. So anyway, tell us again one final time where people can find you online and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. You can follow me personally on Twitter at The Crystal Beth. Also, any social media that exists is The Crystal Beth. And if you want to listen to my Minute podcast, it's thefiftheleminute.com. And if you want to listen to a video game podcast, it's Unlimited Lives Radio on iTunes. And then we stream live every Thursday at 6 p.m. on Twitch. And we have a fun little chat that goes on. And we do a quiz every week, which is pretty fun. And it's twitch.tv/unlimitedlivesradio. And we give away prizes.
Oh, I love prizes.
Yeah. Who does?
Pete, where can people not get any prizes from us?
If you have an opinion on our show, or if you want to express the thought or opinion on any upcoming minutes in the movie, give our hotline a call, 724-LOST-ARC. That's 724-LOST-ARC, and let us know what you're thinking, and we may use it on the air.
We need to come up with a cool name for that, like the hotline, like the Jones phone. It's called the Jones phone.
Great.
And yes, maybe you're using a Jones phone to listen to the show, in which case you should use it again tomorrow. Segue for minute 24 of Temple of Doom here on the Indiana Jones Minute. Oh, a professor! Oh, look at him.